Hello guys, in today's video I'll be sharing with you all the templates to my Notion setup, particularly the space repetition table as well as the current affairs and newspaper analysis calendar database, which you have seen in some of my videos on this channel. Before we dive in, anything that you see in this video related to my study methods or my approach towards this exam are purely my own personal opinions based on my own experiences, and they're just the way that I do things. They have nothing to do with how to pass this exam or foolproof strategy to revise your notes or anything as such. Having said that, I will share with you all the templates of my Notion setup, which you guys have been asking in my previous Notion video. So for those of you who are fairly new to using Notion, I would strongly recommend that you try and understand how Notion works, how templates work, how databases and linking databases work before you start copy pasting my templates into your own Notion setup. But for those of you who are not new to Notion and you have a fairly good understanding of how all these things work, you can still go ahead and watch my video, and maybe you can find some things that you can actually incorporate into your own Notion setup if you want to. Now, I want to give a quick shout out to Rahul Raj for helping me out with a particular problem I was facing with the space repetition table and linking of databases. I've actually modified my Notion setup and incorporated his ideas into my own Notion space, which you guys will be seeing later. So that's it for the introduction, guys. Let's go ahead and I'll show you guys how I made the templates. And these templates are available for free and the link is in the description. I will show you guys how to copy paste these templates into your own Notion setup, which is not a simple Control-C, Control-V situation. You have to do a little bit extra, and I will tell you guys towards the end of the video how to do that. So let's start. Let's start by making the sample prelims page as well as the mains page with different subjects within them, so that I can show you later how the database linking works. So let's start with the newspaper analysis template first, because that is easier to make. I will tell you guys why I chose this particular template for my newspaper analysis and the current affairs notes, so that you guys can judge whether you want to use the same template or you want to change the template a little bit. So pick up certain things that you feel is relevant to you, or you can just use the template exactly the way it is. So the reasons why I chose this calendar database for my current affairs and newspaper analysis daily entries is because I want to make sure that I make these entries daily. So, you know, whenever I miss a day or two or quite a few days at a stretch, the blank spaces in this database really bothers me, and it actually gets me to, try to make it a point to read the newspaper and actually make at least some notes on what I read that particular day into this and enter them into this database. And I also use the help of the newspaper analysis videos that you have online on YouTube as well as on several websites. So that really helps me in making this database complete, and it also forces me to read the newspaper and do current affairs daily. Now, the second reason why I chose this template is because I am not planning to use this database for revision. So I'm not going to revise all these daily entries, but what I will be using them for is linking them into the mains notes preparation or the prelims notes preparation if required, in terms of using particular articles that I can find from the current affairs which is relevant to any particular topic within the mains syllabus. Now, I'm saying that I'm not going to revise this daily entry database is because we already have so many other sources for revision of current affairs notes, like the daily quizzes, weekly quizzes, or the weekly compilation on different websites, which is available for free. And we also have the monthly compilation from Insights or from Vajiram and all that. So I feel it is not really a big deal if I don't revise this current affairs database. So I'll show you guys how I made this template, and to do that we make an inline calendar and give it a name. This will be the name of your calendar database for linking to your other pages, so this name is very important. Now here you can click to make a template for each page that you will be making daily. In order to do that, you just click this one here and you can add new template. So this whole template, every time that you open a page within this calendar database, you will have the option to click on making this template for each and every page. So you add properties as you wish. Here I'm just replicating my own templates where I have decided to add paper, subject, source as in whether it is from newspaper, PIB, or from Rajya Sabha TV debates. Then the date will come automatically. You can also add URL, which I rarely use. And for me, the most important thing is tags. A particular topic can cover different subjects, not only in GS1 or GS2. It can be a combination of both of them, but it will be predominantly under one particular subject, but it will also have a relation to other subjects and papers as well. So this tag helps me in adding any tag, so it'll be easier for me to filter out for my mains notes. Here's a trick to create your options faster. You can convert your property to multi-select, and then you can start typing all your options, clicking enter after every option. When you're done with all your options, you can then just change it back to single select property. So that's it. This is ready. Now you can just click on the site to close it. So now, to make the current affairs notes, you can click on this plus sign and you will see this option here to generate the template, and it will be generated automatically. Also, I forgot to tell you that besides adding these properties, you can also add the structure to the template that you've just made. So for me, I've made it very simple, context and details, because there's nothing much to it. But if you are approaching it differently, if you want to add other details within it, other different structure of making the current affairs notes that you already have, you can do that absolutely. It's not a problem. And you can edit your template by going here, click on this part, and then add edit template. So you can now add the structure of the notes that you want to make daily. But you have to remember though that for the free personal plan, using of templates requires internet connection. So when the internet connection is not there, you won't be able to generate this template. Now you can go ahead and make your daily entries, and in case you want to make any changes to your template, remember, if you delete any certain property, it gets deleted forever, and you have to re-enter everything again. I had to go through that with the dates property recently, and if you know any solution to that, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you can still recover that, but for the free plan, there's no way to recover the previous version of that database that I've created. So that's it. This is your calendar database that you can create for your current affairs and your daily newspaper reading. So now coming to the space repetition table, again, let's talk about why I'm doing it and what the template has to do with it. So initially, this particular table was acting only as a reminder for me to tell me when I need to revise the particular notes that I've made. And that time, when I started using Notion, I was only making notes from my NCRT books, that is the summary of the NCRT books that I was reading, and it was working fine. Now that I've moved on to the standard books, I realized that I need to be revising topic-wise and not the summary of the entire book, because by the time I finished making the notes for the entire book, I would have forgotten what was written in the first few chapters, or most of the chapters for that matter. So I made a few changes to my original format and added the type column, which would either be reading or my prelims notes or my mains notes, and for when I reach that stage, of course. So every day or every other day I finish chapters, I make an entry in this table, and of course this column here shows when I need to read the chapters or topics again. Now that is not all about this table database for spaced repetition. So the direct linking of notes to this table from my prelims pages or from my mains pages has been very useful, and I don't have to go and search for these notes for when I need to revise them. I am making my notes obviously in these sub pages that I've already made for my prelims and for my mains under different subject heads, organized them nicely. But now I can also access them from this table itself, and I don't have to go and search for it. So, and whatever changes I'm making in this table, from this table, it gets reflected in the original page as well. So that is really awesome. And let me show you guys how I did that. I'm pretty sure you guys didn't understand a single word I said back there, but I will show you what I'm really talking about so that you guys can understand what I was trying to tell you. So first thing, let's create this template and let's create the spaced repetition table, or whatever you want to call it, and add the column properties to it. So far for me, you do it the same way. You add the, instead of adding the calendar, you can add the inline table database. And then I've added the properties as topics, in which subject it falls, subject as in whether it's geography, polity and all that, the type. And then we have the first reading completion date, then the first repetition that I need to do, second repetition, third repetition, and I've gone up to fourth repetition. Let's hope that I can do 4 repetitions of whatever I've been reading. And then we have the next repetition date, which we need to add a formula to it. I will tell you about that later. Now go to your prelims or your mains page that you have organized your notes subject wise. Now here you can create a linked database to this spaced repetition. Now you need to remember the name of that spaced repetition table that you've just made. So here we have named it summary notes, just like I named mine. So in order to link the database, you can give a / and add link, create linked database. Click here, and then you can write the name, summary notes. So when you click summary notes, this entire database that you've created for your spaced repetition table comes within this page of your notes. Now you filter it out so that the particular properties relevant to the page is shown. So imagine you're making notes on a particular topic under this subject. You click on this plus sign and you make your notes. When you're done with the first reading of your notes, you can add a date to it. This automatically gets linked to your main spaced repetition table as well. I'll call it SRT from now onwards because I feel it's too long. So for your next revision, if you go to your spaced repetition table, you can actually see it has come up here. And if you've added the first reading completion date, it has already calculated when you need to read it next. So this particular formula that I'm using, it tells me that I need to revise it the very next day because, as per the forgetting curve and all that, you need to revise at least the next day, and then you can go on increasing to every other day and so on and so forth. Now another scenario is that you are reading a particular book and not making notes from it, just like I'm doing nowadays because it's still my first reading. So you don't have to go to the prelims page for you to enter this page. You can actually enter it directly on this SRT, and it will automatically link it to all your other pages that you've created with the linked database option. Now, since you've already sorted all your linked pages, only those particular subjects, notes or pages will be shown in those sub pages. So if you've given here as geography, so this will be reflected in your prelims page as well, where you've created the linked database. So basically, you only need to check your spaced repetition table for when you need to revise a particular chapter, or if you have already made notes in Notion, you can directly revise it from the spaced repetition table, and then you can put a tick mark whether it's your first repetition or your second repetition, and so on and so forth. Now to understand the formula, you can just you can click here and click edit formula. You'll find this formula here. But what it basically says is, if you have to read it backwards. If your first reading completion date is true, that is, if you have entered a date in your first reading completion date, it will add 1 day to this column, to this next repetition date. And if the property rep 1 is true, that is if it is ticked, then it will add 4 days to this first reading completion date, and it'll give you results in days. And the same way, if property repetition 2 is true, that is if it is ticked, then it will add 9 days to the first reading completion date, and it will return it in days again. And you can do that, you can do it for the next one as well. If you want to add a rep 4, you can just add another line of this, just copy paste the same line and add the number of days that you want to add to your first reading completion date. So for me, I've taken 1, 4, 9 and 16, which makes sense for me. If you want to change the numbers, you can absolutely go ahead and change those number of days for yourself too. Now, if you don't understand a single thing that I've said in this video, you can go ahead and watch it again and try doing it in your Notion setup at the same time. You will get the hang of it slowly. It is a learning process, but once you understand it, you will find that it's very useful, very flexible, and it's actually quite fun to use. So this whole template we created in this video is linked in the description for you to download for free. And to copy this template, what you have to do is you copy the link in the description, open your Notion app, paste it, and click the link to page. So this will create a link to my page on the browser. If you click it here directly, it will go to the browser. So what you do is you click this 6 dots thing and you duplicate it. So once you duplicate it, now it is within your own Notion page, and now you can open it as a page and you can move, edit or delete whatever is in it into your own pages. You can edit the formula, you can add columns, you can change the template and do whatever you want with it. So I hope this video has been helpful. I've tried my best to make it as simple as possible. One of the things that I'm really not good at is teaching other people how to do stuff. So I hope that, I've done some justice to this video. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. I will see you very soon with a new video. So